Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for January 12th. January 12th is the 12th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 353 days remaining to the end of the year, or 354 if it happens to be a leap year. Today's word is pulchritude. Pulchritude is a noun that refers to physical beauty or attractiveness. It's often used in a more poetic way, kind of a long way around to say that something or someone is beautiful. For example, we were taken by the pulchritude of the sunset, or the pulchritude of the ancient architecture draws thousands of visitors every year, or that photographer has quite an eye for capturing the pulchritude in everyday scenes. The word pulchritude comes to us through Middle English, originally from a Latin word that means beautiful. First known use of the word pulchritude is in the 1400s. Pulchritude. And with that, the Royal Aeronautical Society was formed in London, England on January 12, 1866. This was a little surprising to me, as aeronautics is about the study, design, and manufacture of flight-capable machines. Were they really doing that in 1866? Apparently so. Hot air balloon flight had been a thing since at least the 1780s, and there are all those drawings and studies of flying machines by Leonardo da Vinci, who lived in the late 1400s and early 1500s. The Royal Aeronautical Society. Cloning is the process of producing individual organisms with identical genomes, either by natural or artificial means. Since we're talking about an identical genome, this can take place in the plant world, for example, by any plant that can send out runners to take root and propagate itself. Anytime you take a cutting of a plant and get it to take root, that's a clone. Vining plants clone themselves all the time. Any plant that sends out rhizomes is cloning itself. Trees that sprout new trees from their own roots are cloning themselves. These are examples of natural forms of cloning. At some point, lab scientists figured out a process called somatic cell nuclear transfer as a way to clone genetic lines in animals. Some farmers and ranchers, for example, select from their healthiest and best stock and clone them. Dolly the sheep was successfully cloned in 1996, and once that was done, the idea of human cloning became a hot topic of discussion among scientists. While an exciting prospect, there are significant ethical implications, not to mention the prospect of unintended consequences. I'm sure discussion and experimentation continue, but on January 12, 1998, 19 European nations agreed to forbid human cloning. It seems kind of late to be talking about Christmas songs here, almost the middle of January, but that's what we're going to do today. Today's song is the Chipmunk song, Christmas Don't Be Late, by Alvin and the Chipmunks and David Seville. The Chipmunk song is a novelty Christmas song written by Ross Bagdasarian under the stage name of David Seville. It was released in December of 1958, hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on December 22, 1958, and we find it on January 12th of 1959 as it begins its 4th week in that number 1 spot. The Chipmunk song, Christmas Don't Be Late, was the only Christmas record to reach number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 until Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You displaced it 61 years later in 2019. This cheery little single ended up selling about 12 million copies, probably due in part to the fact that it re-entered the Hot 100 chart several more times around the holidays. We don't see it there again after 1962, though, because Billboard established a separate chart for recurrent Christmas songs in 1963. Dave did all the vocals himself. I'm sure there are ways to digitally alter the sound to get a chipmunk-style voice now, but in 1958, the technology was such that he got that higher-pitched sound by changing the tape speed. The Chipmunk song, Christmas Don't Be Late, by Alvin and the Chipmunks and Dave Seville. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That playlist lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page. It's called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.